Okay, for the fifth and final time, I am going to try to get through this deposition without fail. So this is a deposition of Alexandria Saks. I guess they were asking, where were you employed? A company called June Pictures that I co-owned. Were you employed at June Pictures as a producer? Yes. How are you generally compensated as a producer? Not the amount, but what your compensation is comprised of. For example, salary, bonus, royalties. As a producer now, on my fees on individual movies. What do you mean by on my fees as in on individual movies? I'm compensated by fees from whoever is financing the movie. And for each film, are you compensated a set amount that is decided up front, or is that an amount that could vary based on the success of the film? Both. You are a producer of It Ends With Us, correct? Correct. How did you become a producer on this? And then we jump to page 52. How often were you on the set in New Jersey? Every day. You were present for every day of filming? I think there is one that I missed because I had the premiere of No Hard Feelings, and then the last 2 days of shooting on the second round in January of 2024, I had already jumped into another movie, so I didn't come back to Los Angeles. Do you recall which day or days you missed for the premiere of No Hard Feelings? I don't remember the work we did that day. As a producer, do you report into Wayfair? Yes. Did you report to Mr. Baldoni as the director? Yes. And did you also report to Mr. Heath as the CEO and co-studio head? Yes. They were your bosses? Yes. You mentioned Angie Giannetti earlier. Who is she? She was the EVP at Sony, who was our day-to-day creative. How often do you recall Miss Giannetti being on set? In the first round, she was there for a few days, from what I remember, maybe more than that. Definitely more than a normal executive is there in my experience. And then, on the second round, she was there most days. When you say Miss Giannetti was on set a few days in the first round, would it be fair to estimate 2 to 4 days? That sounds right. As a producer of It Sounds Like a Decade, is it important to you that the cast and crew working on your projects have an outlet through which to report concerns about behavior in the workplace? Yes. It's required practice on film sets that cast and crew members have a place to report concerns, right? And then we jump to 57. Did you understand whether HR would be available on set to cast and crew of the film? Eventually. When did you become aware? At some point in early prep when we were starting to crew up and hire people. Is it your understanding that Wayfair does have a human resources department? I don't know. Do you know, was there a designated individual or who would perform human resources functions on the film? I believe it was a number or an email that people contacted. And then, if I remember correctly, there was a third party. But I don't believe Wayfair had an official human resources. Is it your recollection that there was a third party to provide human resources functions to cast and crew on set? I don't remember. Do you have any memory of who that third party may have been? I don't. As someone who was on set every day, did you know who you could go speak to if you had concerns about behavior on set? Yeah. Who? Jamie. Your understanding as producer on the film was that if you had concerns about behavior on set, you should raise them to Mr. Heath? Yeah. As the copyright owner, signer of checks and agreements, and without there being an official one HR person, it was really just easiest to go to him as the boss. As a producer on set, did you understand who you could raise concerns to about behavior if the person you were concerned about was Mr. Heath? Still Mr. Heath. So was your understanding that if you had concerns about Mr. Heath's behavior, you would have to raise those to him? Correct. I'm going to hand you what will be marked Exhibits 1 and 2. We're marking as Saks Exhibit 1, Saks Exhibit 2. Perfect. Is this 1 or 2? I gave you 2 copies with both exhibits. The first document I handed you is marked as Exhibit 1. It's an email dated March 12, 2023, and it bears the bait stamp, which is the number in the corner of AS62. Do you see that? Uh-huh. This is an email that you sent, correct? Yes. To Jamie Heath, among others? Yes. The second document I sent you was marked as Exhibit 2. It's an email dated March 13th, 2023, and it bears the Bates AS8. Do you see that? Yes. This is also an email that you sent, correct? Correct. Please direct your attention to Exhibit 1 as of March 12th, 2023, when you sent this email, did you know whether Wayfair had workplace harassment protocols in place? It looks like I didn't. And at the time, you proposed that because of Justin's role, the harassment protocols come from Sony. Is that right? Correct. What did you mean when you wrote, because of Justin's role at Wayfair, our workplace harassment protocol should come from Sony? I assumed that I meant that he was the director, co-lead actor, and co-owned the studio. Were you concerned that as co-lead actor, director, and co-owner of the studio, people may not feel comfortable raising concerns to Mr. Baldoni? Correct. Did you have any other concerns with respect to Wayfair overseeing the human resources or harassment protocols on set? Because it had become clear that they were a less experienced studio, the idea of Sony being responsible for something so important made me feel more secure. All cast and crew reported to Mr. Baldoni and Mr. Heath on set, correct? Yes. They were everyone's boss? Yes, and me as well. But again, Mr. Heath, as the signer of checks, technical copyright owner, CEO of the owner of the film, technically was the boss. When I refer to cast and crew, will you understand that I'm referring to the actor, basically anyone who worked on set? Yes. Did you also have concerns about Wayfair overseeing the human resources function for the film, given Mr. Heath's role as CEO? Less so, aside from his lesser experience. You proposed that Sony provide harassment training for cast and crew. Is that right? Correct. Turn your attention to Exhibit 2, please. Are you confirming in this email that Mr. Heath agreed with you that Sony should provide, and then we skip to page 67. Do you recognize this document as, can we wait until everybody has a copy of the exhibit? Ms. Saks, do you recognize this email? Vaguely. This is an email from Mr. Baldoni to you, dated February 19th, 2023, correct? Yes. If you direct your attention to the second paragraph, it reads, I want to apologize to the group, especially to Alex. Do you see that? Yes. What do you understand Mr. Baldoni to be apologizing to you for? I believe the day before we were on a call or a Zoom where he yelled at me. Mr. Baldoni yelled at you? I believe so. When you say he yelled at you, did he raise his voice? I believe so. Do you recall who else was on the Zoom? I believe everyone on the email chain, and it may have been a call. Ms. Giannetti, Mr. Kaloff, A.J. Marbury, yourself, and Mr. Baldoni were in the meeting? I don't know that AJ was. That's his assistant. But Angie, Jamie, and Kaloff probably were, along with Justin. What do you recall about this meeting in February 2023 in which Mr. Baldoni yelled at you? I don't remember much, but reading the email, I believe he was talking about his own abuse. Yeah, when I tried to voice an opinion, he yelled at me, but I don't remember exactly what the words were. Do you recall the gist of what he yelled at you? I don't. Do you recall what opinion you were voicing at the time? I don't. In the second paragraph, Mr. Baldoni writes, as read, I feel I have failed at being a safe place for others, so I want to apologize as my behavior yesterday, for me, was not acceptable. I try very hard not to interrupt the women in my life, and unfortunately, I've been failing in that on quite a few occasions over the last few months, oftentimes, and yesterday in particular to you. Do you see that? Yes. Did you agree with Mr. Baldoni that he had failed at being a safe place for others? I have no idea. Do you feel that he failed at being a safe space for you? I didn't need him to be a safe space for me. Did you agree with Mr. Baldoni that his behavior and yelling at you during the February 2023 meeting was not acceptable? Yes. Why? I don't yell at work colleagues, nor do I like being yelled at. Do you think it's inappropriate to yell at your colleagues? Personally. Do you recall during this February 2023 call, Mr. Baldoni interrupting you? I don't recall. Was it your experience on the set that Mr. Baldoni will often interrupt you when you were speaking? Did you say on the set? In connection with the film? Oh, yes. Mr. Baldoni often interrupted you while you were speaking? Sometimes. Did you observe Mr. Baldoni interrupt other women in connection with the film? I can't recall. Towards the end of that paragraph, Mr. Baldoni writes, and then we skip to page 74. The other times that I recall were usually in group meetings that were meetings where other women were present, but I never saw him directly mansplain to one woman or a group of women. It was more a big conversation with a group in a production meeting or something. Did you observe Mr. Baldoni yell at anyone in the connection with the film other than you? Not that I can recall. Did Mr. Baldoni yell at you more than once in connection with the film? Yes. How many times would you estimate that Mr. Baldoni yelled at you? I believe it was 3. Would that be 2 times? Would that be 2 times in addition to this February 2023 meeting? I believe so. What are the other 2 incidents that you recall Mr. Baldoni yelling at you? One other was also on, as I believe the other time was on a Zoom. It was a note Zoom. I don't remember the details beyond that. And then on a follow-up Zoom, he apologized to me in front of the entire group for doing so on the previous Zoom. So you mentioned a note Zoom? What is that? Where we would go on a Zoom and have a meeting about the latest draft and talk about whatever creative notes we all had. So during a meeting to discuss notes of the draft, on the draft of the script, Mr. Baldoni yelled at you? Yes. Do you recall what he yelled at you? I don't. Do you recall the topic that was being discussed at the time when he yelled at you? I don't. Do you recall who else was present during the Zoom when he yelled at you on the Zoom with respect to discussing notes about the current draft of the script? I believe Angie, Jamie, and probably Caliph. Is that Andrew Caliph? Yes. Roughly, when do you recall the note Zoom occurring during which Mr. Baldoni yelled at you? I believe it was in January of 2023. Do you recall the general topic of discussion during the Zoom? Just the script. Do you recall Mr. Baldoni also mansplaining to you during the Zoom, the note Zoom in January of 2023? I don't recall. Do you recall whether he interrupted you during that note Zoom in January of 2023? I don't recall. You mentioned that there was a third incident in which Mr. Baldoni yelled at you. Is that right? Yes. And when was that, roughly? That was on set towards the end of the first round of shooting. Would that have been roughly June 2023? I believe so. What do you recall about the meeting on set with Mr. Baldoni in which he yelled at you? We were shooting at the root location. It was a very stressful day of shooting because we had a lot of work to do in a short amount of time. He came up behind monitor where I was sitting. Jamie and Angie were behind me. And he came up to me and asked me how I thought the scene was going, and if he was getting it, which I thought he did, and also expressed that I didn't believe that he needed more coverage. And then he yelled at me and said that I don't remember exactly, but something to the effect of, I actually don't remember exactly what he said. But he yelled something and slammed his hands on the director's chair next to me and walked away. And then I turned around and looked at Angie, and Jamie and said that if he did that, something like that to me one more time, that I was going to walk off the movie. Why did you feel like you would walk off the movie if he behaved in that manner again? It was the first time I felt physically intimidated. Why did you feel physically intimidated during the interaction with Mr. Baldoni? Because he slammed his hands on a chair right next to me while yelling at me while saying my name. That's the one thing I remember, is that he said Alex. He yelled Alex and then slammed his hands on the chair? Yes. Can you describe for me where you were when that happened? I know you mentioned that you were filming a root scene. What did that look like? We were in a restaurant, and the front of the restaurant is where we were filming. And then there was a sort of a divider in the restaurant, and the village was behind the divider towards the back of the restaurant. And that's where I was sitting in one of the first chairs closest to the monitor at Village. So you were sitting at the Village. Who was around you? Angie and Jamie were sitting in 2 chairs behind me. Was anyone else there? There was probably lots of crew milling around, but no one I can remember specifically. The crew would have been milling around the village and also the area where the actual filming was taking place in front of the restaurant? Correct. But also bringing either equipment or props back and forth from the back entrance up to the front where the shooting was happening. Did you say that what prompted Mr. Baldoni to yell your name and slam his hands down on a chair was that you gave him a note that you didn't think he needed more coverage of the scene? Yeah, I said I didn't think he needed more coverage of the scene, and I think he wanted to shoot more coverage of the scene. What do you mean when you say coverage of the scene? Coverage of a scene is shooting a scene from various different angles. So your impression was that Mr. Baldoni wanted to shoot the scene from more angles? Correct. And did you think that was necessary? Correct. Oh, you didn't think that was necessary, my bad. And simply noting to him that you didn't think he needed the scene from additional angles prompted Mr. Baldoni to yell and slam a chair? I was answering his question, so yes. You answered a question that he asked you and responded by yelling at you and slamming a chair on the ground? Yes. And you were physically intimidated by that? Yes. Were there any other physical movements that Mr. Baldoni was making? Was he getting big, for example? Was he approaching you? Not that I can recall. Do you feel that it was appropriate behavior for your boss? No. And Mr. Baldoni yelled at you and slammed the chair. It sounds like in front of several other people. Is that right? Yes. In front of Miss Giannetti, Mr. Heath, as well as multiple crew members? From what I remember. How many crew members could you estimate were around at the time? I have no idea. Would it be more than 10? I don't think so. Somewhere between 5 and 10, maybe? Could be under 5, could be more than 5. I really don't remember. Was Mr. Baldoni in the scene that prompted him to yell at you? Yes. Was it your impression that he wanted more coverage of himself in the scene? Not necessarily. Did Mr. Baldoni ever explain to you why he yelled at you during that time? No. Did he apologize? I don't remember. And then we go to page 89. Okay, so it either would have been Mr. Baldoni's behavior and yelling at you would have occurred at the time of filming the scene in which his character meets Lily's mother, or the scene which Mr. Baldoni's character gets in a fight with Atlas? Correct. And am I correct that production on the film was split into 2 phases? Yes. One before the Hollywood strikes and one after. That's correct. During roughly what time period did the first phase of production take place? May and June of 2023. And during what time frame did the second phase of production take place, roughly? January into February of 2024. When I refer to production phase 1 or something similar, will you understand that I'm referring to the time period of from May to June of 2023? Yes. During the first phase of production, would you describe the set as well organized? I'm sorry, you said phase 1? Correct. No. Why? Because it was not being well run and managed. The set was not being well run or managed during the first phase of production by Mr. Baldoni. It wasn't just Mr. Baldoni. We started the shoot with a very weak first AD. Our production team was very tiny and overwhelmed. And then we had Wayfair as the decision-making studio, who was also very green. Who was the very weak first AD that you mentioned? Julie Bloom. Why did you believe Miss Bloom to be very weak? She had come from, more recently, the television world, which does not require ADs unless you're working on the pilot to really construct the framework for how production is going to run. And doing this film, from my memory, she had not done one in a while, and we were just not set up for success as an operation. How would you generally expect a first AD on a film set to, let me rephrase. What are your expectations for how a first AD on a film set performs? That they are hyper-communicative, in constant communication with all departments, understanding the timeline of any given day, in addition to the prep work to get to that given day. They're also in lockstep with the director and the DP on what the shot list is for the entire day. They also have a really acute understanding of the hair and makeup timings and how the actors are going to be operating on set in terms of needing rehearsal, not needing rehearsal, and how long it takes for their hair and makeup and costumes to be done. They are the clock of the day. In your view, did Miss Bloom meet those expectations for how a first AD on a film set should perform? No, I think she tried very hard, but was not able to wrap her head around the entire machine. Did you recommend terminating Miss Bloom as first AD on the film? I was not the first to recommend it, but ultimately yes. And you supported terminating Miss Bloom? I did. As the first AD? Sorry. One more time, Steph. There was a crosstalk. That's okay. You supported terminating Miss Bloom as the first AD on the film set, is that right? I did. What were your impressions, if any, of how Mr. Baldoni performed his responsibilities as a director during Phase 1? I think he was deeply overwhelmed and, despite a long prep, very unprepared on a daily basis for a lot of reasons. Fair to say, you did not find him to be an effective director during Phase 1? Not necessarily. There's lots of facets to, and then we skip to page 99. Take a quick look at those. And Exhibit 7 is marked Attorney's Eyes Only. So I would just ask that Mr. Heath not be given a copy and that we ask questions that when we ask questions that he leave the room. Miss Saks, I would direct your attention to Exhibit 6, please, which is a document date stamped SPEBL 2023. Appears to be a text chain between you and Miss Giannetti indicated as home, dated May 29th, 2023. Do you see that? Yes. And do you recognize this as a text chain between you and Miss Giannetti? Yes. Would you please direct your attention to Exhibit 7? Exhibit 7 is a text chain bearing Bates BL 11598 and is dated May 29th, 2023. Do you recognize Exhibit 7 as a text chain between you and Miss Lively? Yes. Do you recall the brunch with Jenny? Is that Jenny Slate? Yes. Do you recall having brunch with Jenny Slate in May 29, 2023, or around that time? I do. And tell me about that brunch. Jenny and I had a meal prior to this one, so I went into it thinking that it was a friendly brunch, which it was to a degree. But during it, she brought up some concerns that she was having on the movie, which was the first time I was hearing about them. What concerns did Miss Slate bring up during your brunch on or around May 29th? I don't remember exact language that was used, but there were a few. One was that in a scene, I believe, the week prior, Justin had commented on her physical appearance, which made her uncomfortable. That in an initial creative Zoom meeting between Justin, Blake, and Jenny and Blake only found out at the very end of the Zoom that Justin had been recording it the whole time. And that made both Blake and Jenny, from Jenny's point of view, feel very uncomfortable. There was a mention of some kind of comments that Jamie had made to Jenny regarding how generous they had been with her housing allowance and that it was important for them to take care of new mothers, and that made her uncomfortable. And then there was a lot of other conversation, non-specific, but that she was uncomfortable in both of their presences and really would prefer to never see Jamie again, knowing that Justin was a director and co-star that she would have to. Miss Slate says she never wanted to see Mr. Heath again? Correct. And it's your impression that Miss Slate knew that she would have to see Mr. Baldoni because he was the director and co-star, but perhaps didn't want to see him either? I can't speak to that, but that was my assumption. You said a lot there, so I want to break it down a little, okay? Okay. You mentioned that Miss Slate raised, and then we skip to page, oh, no, we don't. Sorry, my transcript is not following along. Sorry about that. You testified that Miss Slate raised during your brunch in May that Mr. Baldoni had commented on her physical appearance, which made her uncomfortable, right? That Justin commented on her physical appearance, yes. And do you recall if Miss Slate told you whether that happened while a scene was being filmed, while they were on set, or at some other time? Do you mean Miss Slate or Slate? I said Miss Slate. I'm sorry, I thought you said Miss Blake. I didn't hear you. Do you recall if Miss Slate told you where she was when Mr. Baldoni commented on her appearance. I don't remember which location it was, but it was on set in costume prior to filming. During a time when no scene was being filmed. We were not filming. Okay, yet. Did Miss Slate tell you what comment about her about did Miss Slate tell you what the comment about her appearance was? It was, I don't recall if it was that he called her hot or sexy, and I don't recall if it was once or twice. The first time would have been in the flower shop when she was wearing an all leather jumpsuit, and the second would have been in a karaoke scene. I don't remember what she was wearing that day, and I don't remember which comment was attributed to which. But you recall Miss Slate informing you that Mr. Baldoni had called her hot and sexy? Or hot or sexy? Correct. Okay. And you don't recall the specific? I don't. You don't recall what she was wearing at the time? I don't. Did Miss Slate share with you during that brunch that she felt Mr. Baldoni's comment was wait. Did Miss Slate share with you during that brunch that she felt Mr. Baldoni's comment that she was hot or sexy was directed to her personally? I'm not sure I understand the question. Did Miss Slate share with you during brunch that she felt Mr. Baldoni commented that she was hot or sexy was directed at her rather than her character? She didn't specify. Did you have an understanding one way or another? I didn't. Did Miss Slate also share with you that Mr. Baldoni had commented on Miss Lively's appearance in a similar manner? She would not give me specifics about what Blake was experiencing, but I believe had encouraged Blake to speak to me directly and that I reach out to Blake. Did Miss Slate suggest to you that she had encouraged Blake to reach out to you about her own concerns with Mr. Baldoni and Mr. Heath? I believe she did. Do you recall how she suggested that? I don't. Do you recall Miss Slate suggesting somehow that Miss Lively had also had some uncomfortable experiences with Mr. Baldoni or Mr. Heath? Yes. And that was in May 29th in the May 29th brunch you had with her? Correct. You also mentioned that Miss Slate raised concerns about comments by Mr. Heath with regards to her housing situation. Is that right? Yes. What do you recall about Mr. Heath's comments regarding Miss Slate's housing situation? All I remember, and I don't even know that I knew the details of what was happening at the time because production and Wayfair were handling it vis-a-vis the contract. Those were the kinds of conversations that I wasn't a part of on this film. But it was something to the effect of, we gave you more than we normally would have because we prioritize women with families and children because, and then we jump to 108. Are you aware that in some states it is illegal to record people without their consent? Yes. And would you be okay with your boss recording a conversation with you without informing you in advance? No. I believe you testified that there were other non-specific conversations that Miss Slate raised she was uncomfortable with. Do you recall that? I think I just covered them all. I don't remember any further specifics. If you look back to Exhibit 6, please. At 11:23, you sent a text to Miss Gianetti that said, "Yes, very bad. I think we need to replace our director, and Jamie should not be on set." Do you see that? I do. You felt that Miss Slate had shared with you about Mr. Heath and Mr. Baldoni's behavior was very bad. Yes. And did you think because of what Miss Slate shared with you that Justin should be replaced as director on the film? Yes. Why? Because his actors were uncomfortable in his presence. And in your view, it's important that actors be comfortable around the director? Yes, it's important that people be comfortable in their workplace. Why did you think Jamie should not be on set? Because I knew that I was more than capable of running the movie. They just weren't letting me, and so his presence was actually not needed. So if he was making someone uncomfortable, I didn't see the reason for him to be there. And similar to Mr. Baldoni, did you believe that? Strike that. Did you believe that excluding Mr. Heath from set would make actors more comfortable in their workplace? For at least Jenny, yes. Was Mr. Heath excluded from set going forward? No. Why not? I don't know. Was Mr. Baldoni replaced as director on the film? No. Why not? I don't know. Other than Miss Giannetti, did you raise to anyone else the idea that Mr. Baldoni should be replaced as director on the film because his actors were not comfortable with him? No. Angie told me that there was no way that would ever happen. So you informed Miss Giannetti that actors were uncomfortable in their workplace due to Mr. Heath and Mr. Baldoni's behavior, and her response was, "There's no way that would ever happen," or something to that effect? Yeah, that Sony's hands were tied. They had no control over the movie, and that Wayfarer would never replace themselves. Other than Miss Giannetti, did you raise to anyone that Mr. Heath should be excluded from set because actors were uncomfortable in his presence? Probably the line producer, Andrea, but otherwise, no. Did you ever raise to Mr. Heath that Mr. Baldoni should be replaced because actors uncomfortable with his presence on set? No. Why not? Because Justin was Jamie's boss. And did you ever raise to Justin that you felt he should be replaced as director and his actors weren't comfortable in his presence? No. Why not? Because he was my boss. Did you feel like you didn't have anyone else to raise these to? Uh, correct. And just to be clear, you felt that there was no other avenue other than Miss Giannetti to raise your concerns that actors were uncomfortable in the presence of Mr. Heath, the CEO of the studio, and Mr. Baldoni, the director of the film? Correct. Other than strongly encouraging Jamie and Justin to do an investigation, that was all. Did you raise to Mr. Baldoni that Mr. Heath should be removed from production? No. Because Mr. Baldoni was your boss and Mr. Heath was his partner? And because Mr. Baldoni put Jamie on the movie as a producer after he had already hired me. Why did that impact your decision not to raise to Mr. Baldoni that Mr. Heath should be excluded from set due to actors' discomfort with his presence? Because if Justin felt I could do the job on my own, he wouldn't have put Jamie on the movie in the first place. Did you encourage Mr. Baldoni and Mr. Heath to conduct an investigation with regard to, and then we jump to page 115. Okay, so after you had brunch with Jenny and she raised concerns about Mr. Baldoni and Mr. Heath's behavior, you had a Zoom with Mr. Baldoni and Mr. Heath to discuss Jenny's concerns. Correct. And during that Zoom, did you share with them that Miss Slate had concerns with respect to Mr. Baldoni's comments about her appearance? Comments made by Mr. Heath and other items as well? Yes. How did they react? They actually took it very well, in terms of they didn't, at the time, deny or get defensive about it. They just seemed to be taking it in. And that made it not as challenging of a conversation for me to be having with them, which I appreciated. When you suggested or recommended that an investigation be performed, how did Mr. Baldoni respond? He was very open to it. Do you recall what he said specifically? I don't remember the exact words, but something to the effect of, I'm happy to do it. You know, I should take responsibility for things I've done. That kind of language. During that Zoom call following your brunch with Miss Slate, did you also raise that Miss Lively had certain concerns about Mr. Baldoni and Mr. Heath's behavior? No, because I didn't know that for sure yet. How did Mr. Heath react to your recommendation that an investigation into his and Mr. Baldoni's behavior be conducted? He heard it and said that they needed to talk about it. Did you ever hear from Mr. Heath after the conversation about whether they were, in fact, going to conduct an investigation into his and Mr. Baldoni's conduct? Not proactively, but we obviously talked about it again. Whether it was because I brought it whether it was because I brought it up, I think I brought it up to kind of check in on it. And then at some point he did let me know that they weren't going to do an investigation. Did he so after this initial Zoom call where you shared Miss Slate's concern with Mr. Baldoni and Mr. Heath, you had your follow-up conversation with Mr. Heath and Mr. Baldoni about concerns regarding their behavior on set? It was probably just Jamie. Okay. And it was probably a non-specific call. I believe that at that point we were probably on the phone multiple times a day, and it was coming up in the course of various other conversations. So the follow-up discussion, you recall being just with Mr. Heath? Yes, I believe so. And it was on the phone? Uh-huh. Mr. Heath shared with you during that follow-up conversation that Wayfarer would not be investigating concerns about his behavior or Mr. Baldoni's behavior? That was the final call about it. There was, I believe, one in the middle where we were just talking about it, about the possibility of doing it again. What do you recall about the middle call? Not much. Probably just me pushing for it to happen again. Why were you pushing for an investigation to occur? Because I wanted the behavior to be taken seriously. And also, since I hadn't been there to see any of it, it's the way that you sort of address and handle these things and could hopefully make for more of a comfortable work environment for everyone going forward. Based on your conversation with Miss Slate, did you believe that she was genuinely uncomfortable with Mr. Baldoni and Mr. Heath's behavior? Yes. Did Mr. Heath ever explain why Wayfarer would not be conducting an investigation into Miss Slate's concerns about Mr. Heath's and Mr. Baldoni's behavior? Not sort of tap danced around the idea that it would be better for all of this not to be on an official record. Do you have an understanding what does that mean to you? That he didn't want the behavior written down, documented anywhere in the event that someone wanted to talk about it again in the future. Your impression is that Mr. Heath didn't want Wayfair to conduct an investigation into concerns about his and Mr. Baldoni's behavior because he didn't want a written record of it anywhere? Correct. What do you recall Mr. Heath saying? Do you recall Mr. Heath saying anything specifically that gave you that impression? No, but that's your recollection of why Wayfarer decided not to conduct an investigation into the behaviors raised by Miss Slate? Yes. Direct your attention back to Exhibit 6, please. At 12:13, you send a text to Miss Gianetti that says, "Texted Blake. No answer yet." Do you see that? Yes. Do you have a recollection of texting Blake at that time? I don't. Do you recall why you would have been texting Miss Lively on May 29th after just having, and then we jump to page 134. Direct your attention to the message at 9:35 a.m. Yes. On June 1st at 9:35 a.m., you sent Miss Gianetti a text stating, "We had a very good, tough chat with Blake. She was eloquent and on point. Called Jamie out in front of me and Justin kindly." Do you see that? Yes. What are you referring to here? I believe this was a meeting in her trailer about the concerns. On or around June 1st, you had a meeting in Miss Lively's trailer? That's what it looks like. I didn't remember it. Do you recall who was at that meeting? I don't. I don't, but I assume me, Jamie, Justin, and Blake. Does this message you sent that Miss Lively called out Jamie and Justin in front of you refresh your recollection that you, Jamie, Justin, and Miss Lively had a meeting on June 1st? It does a little, but we had so many meetings over the course of the shoot that I'm not certain I'm remembering the exact one. So you remember a discussion of the meeting, but not necessarily where it took place? No. Do you remember a situation in which Miss Lively called out Mr. Heath and Mr. Baldoni in front of you? Not now I'm remembering, but I don't remember many of the specifics. But I think I remember that this was in her trailer. What do you remember about what Miss Lively said during this meeting? Very little, other than what I wrote. All I remember is her leaning against one side of the trailer. I think I was opposite her. Maybe Justin was here and maybe Jamie was there. And I do remember, now that I'm reading it, I don't remember the specifics of what, I don't remember the specifics of even what she said. I would have to keep reading. But that she was very direct but professional. And that was it. If you turn to the message at 9:37 a.m., please. Um, on the other page, 9:37, you write, "He did try to clarify that he thought Justin told her about it." And Miss Gianetti responds, "This is the wife photo. Do you see that?" I do. Do you recall Miss Lively raising to you, Mr. Baldoni, and Mr. Heath that she was uncomfortable with Mr. Heath showing her a video of his nude wife? Yes, and I believe it was in this meeting she brought up that she had been shown a video of Jamie's wife giving birth. And did you understand Mr. Heath's wife to be nude in the video? Yes. Did you ever watch the video? No. Did you understand that Miss Lively was uncomfortable with being shown a video of her boss's wife giving birth nude? I believe she shared that at the time. Did you think it was appropriate for Mr. Heath to show Miss Lively a video of his wife giving birth nude? No. Do you want your boss to show you a video of his wife giving birth nude? No. You wrote, he did try to clarify that he thought Justin told her about it. Did you mean that Mr. Heath tried to clarify that he showed Miss Lively a video of his nude wife because Justin asked him to? I believe he was trying to clarify that he thought Justin had told her this is what the video is and that she had wanted to see it. Mr. Heath thought Miss Lively wanted to see. Mr. Heath said to you something to the effect that he thought Miss Lively wanted to see a video of his nude wife. That's what it sounded like in the room just from what I'm reading. I don't remember. At 9:38 you wrote, "Yes, there were other comments. As you sit here, do you have a recollection of what other comments Miss Lively raised concerns about during the meeting with you, Mr. Heath and Mr. Baldoni?" I don't. At 9:42 you wrote, "The other piece was that she was like, you, Jamie, make jokes about how you can't make eye contact with people anymore, as if to undermine and lessen the importance of people not wanting to be comfy cozy on set. Do you see that?" Yes. What do you recall Miss Lively sharing with regard to the statement? There was a lot of hugging and touching amidst the Wayfarer team. It's just seemingly sort of how they do business and interact with each other. And it sounds like she was referring to how sometimes the guys would make jokes about how they couldn't do that, but not really that. The joke would be can't even make eye contact with people anymore. And she used that as an example to say everything is too comfortable on set. Can we make it more professional? In your view, the comment that Miss Lively raised about Mr. Heath and Mr. Baldoni joking that you can't make eye contact with people anymore, did you view that to undermine and lessen the importance of people wanting to be comfortable in the workplace? Yes. Do you think it was appropriate for the two men in charge of the production to joke about not being able to make eye contact with people because of HR? Can you repeat the beginning of the question? Good Lord. Do you think it was appropriate for two men in charge of the production to joke about not being able to make eye contact with people anymore? No. Why not? Because that's not how a workplace or leaders of a workplace should operate. They shouldn't be making light of the behavior that makes their employees uncomfortable. And in your view, Mr. Baldoni and Mr. Heath were making light of behavior that made people uncomfortable in their workplace through that joke. Oh, excuse me. Gotta get a drink. Getting a little parched. Okay. And Mr. Baldoni and Mr. Heath were making light of concerns raised about their own behavior. It reads more general to me that you can't do anything in the workplace anymore and not get in trouble than maybe more reflective of their own behavior. In your view, does that kind of comment create an environment in which employees would be comfortable coming forward with concerns about the behavior of their bosses? Sorry for overstepping your question. I'd ask you to let me finish, please. Spicy. I did, and I said objection, and I apologize for stepping on you for your question. I'll re-ask. In your view, does a comment joke about how you can't make eye contact with people anymore create an environment in which employees would feel comfortable coming forward with concerns about the workplace? It doesn't make employees feel comfortable. Did you say it does not make employees feel comfortable or uncomfortable? Comfortable. Thank you. Do you recall during the meeting with Mr. Baldoni, Mr. Heath, and Miss Lively that Miss Lively also raised issue with Mr. Baldoni coming into her trailer uninvited? Only because I'm reading it here. At 9:43 you wrote to Miss Giannetti, and then she also mentioned that I guess on day 2 Jamie went into Blake's trailer and she was like, "Oh, actually I'm getting body makeup done. Well, you can come in if you don't look." And apparently he was looking in her direction the entire conversation when she turned around. Do you see that? Yes. What do you recall Miss Lively sharing with regard to that incident? Nothing more than what you just read. So then, Miss Lively, do you recall Miss Lively sharing with you that Mr. Heath had barged into her trailer while she was undressed? I don't recall. Do you recall Miss Lively sharing whether she had clothes on at the time? I don't recall. But if I'm saying she was getting body makeup done, then she didn't have clothes on. And to your understanding, when Miss Lively was getting body makeup done or removed, was she generally topless? I don't actually know. You believe she might have been? Correct. Do you have a recollection of Miss Lively specifically sharing that she was in some state of undress at the time Mr. Heath came into her trailer uninvited? I don't remember outside of reading this. Do you have an understanding why Miss Lively would say, "You can come in, but don't look," if she was wearing clothes at the time? Likely because she knew the conversation was important and she was professional and probably wanted to discuss whatever needed to be discussed. Did Miss Lively share with you that when Mr. Heath attempted to enter the trailer, she and her team yelled, "No, no, no, don't come in"? I don't remember. Do you recall Miss Lively sharing that Mr. Heath had insisted on having a meeting with her when he entered her trailer? I don't remember. Do you recall Miss Lively conveying that she was uncomfortable with Mr. Heath looking at her while she was getting her makeup undone or done? I don't remember. Miss Giannetti responded to your text with regard to Mr. Heath entering Blake's trailer and said, "Not good." You responded, "Nope." Do you see that? Correct. What do you remember being not good about the situation in which Mr. Heath entered Miss Lively's trailer? That he was looking at her getting body makeup done when she asked him not to. And was it your understanding that Miss Lively was uncomfortable with that? That's what I perceived. Was Miss Lively doing something, or strike that? Did Miss Lively recount this story to you in a way that you perceived or in a specific way that made you perceive she was uncomfortable? Not that I can recall. What was your reaction to hearing what Mr. Heath had What was your reaction to hearing that Mr. Heath had entered Miss Lively's trailer uninvited and looked at her while she was getting her body makeup done? I would imagine, I don't recall exactly, but I would imagine uncomfortable, like I am rereading it now. You're uncomfortable even rereading it now? Yes. Why? Because I don't like that it happened. Why not? Because it's not appropriate for the workplace. Why is it inappropriate for the workplace for Mr. Heath to go into Miss Lively's trailer and look at her while she's getting her body makeup done? And then we skip Mr. Baldoni and Mr. Heath's behavior. I don't know that I know that our first production designer said to me at one point that at the end of the first round of shooting he felt like he was leaving a cult. Who was that? Russell Barnes. Russell Barnes. Any other cast or crew members you were aware of having concerns about Mr. Baldoni and Mr. Heath's behavior? Specifically, no, but in general, a lot of the crew felt the production was being run in a way that wasn't up to industry standard. What do you mean by up to industry standard? So they just did things a little differently. Yeah, which I think mostly was due to the inexperience. Do you Are you aware of any other cast or crew members feeling that Mr. Baldoni and Mr. Heath's behavior was inappropriate? Then we go to Book Bonanza. Did you have an understanding why Miss Hoover would not say Mr. Baldoni's name at Book Bonanza? I believe at that point I was aware that Blake and Colleen had discussed basically all of what happened to Blake on the film. Your understanding was that Miss Lively had discussed with Miss Hoover how she had been treated by Mr. Baldoni and Mr. Heath on the film? Correct. And her discomfort with that treatment? Yes. At 8:44, when you say neither of them would mention JB's name, who else were you referring to other than Miss Hoover? I assume Blake. Is that your recollection that Miss Lively will also not say Mr. Baldoni's name at Book Bonanza? Yes. If you return to Exhibit 11, which is document stamp blah blah blah, do you have it in front of you? Yes. Do you recognize Exhibit 11 as the text exchange between you and Miss Giannetti on June 15th, 2024? Yes. At 2:19, Miss Giannetti says, "Call me," and later on at 2:53 you write, and she asks, "Did you get any details back then?" And you respond, "Justin was very dismissive of her when she wanted to direct and then used Jamie to try to manipulate her when he realized she could co-direct it after she got Daddy-O going." Do you see that? Do you recall what this text is in reference to? No. Do you recall if you and Miss Giannetti had a conversation about concerns raised by Christy Hall with respect to Mr. Baldoni being dismissive of her? Yes. Now I know what it's about. What do you recall with respect to Miss Hall's concerns, if any, about Mr. Baldoni? That yeah, that initially he was dismissive of her wanting to direct. I don't remember much more than that. You write at 2:54, and then she felt like he tried to use her for cover with Blake and Colleen a bunch. Do you have an understanding of what you were referencing there? Yeah, that she was the female writer, and he would say, that he wanted to give her a chance to write her way in, etc. It was your impression that Miss Hall was concerned with Mr. Baldoni using her as cover with Blake and Colleen with regard to the script? I guess so. At 2:55, you wrote, "She just doesn't want to be associated with them." Yes. What is that in reference to? that is wait. That is that she didn't want to be associated with Justin and Wayfair. I believe so. Did you know why? I believe because of everything I wrote previously. Miss Hall had shared with you that she did not want to be associated with Mr. Baldoni or Wayfair? Yes. Did Miss Hall also share with you, as you expressed at 2:57, she didn't feel respected as a female voice on the team, and on a movie like this that felt especially bad? Yes. At 2:59, Miss Giannetti writes, "Just so many things stacking up people are so upset or pissed off about. I can't believe how they just keep coming." You respond, "I think this is where narcissism is dangerous. Do you see that?" Yes. Is your comment regarding narcissism in reference to Mr. Baldoni? Yes. Did you believe Mr. Baldoni to be a narcissist? As a non-physician, yes. Based on what? All the behavior I had witnessed for the preceding year and a half. And was it your experience that so many things kept stacking up that people were upset or pissed about with respect to Mr. Baldoni and Mr. Heath's behavior? Can you repeat the first part? Oh my God, people open your ears. Was it your experience that so many things kept stacking up that people were upset or pissed about with respect to Mr. Baldoni or Mr. Heath's behavior? Yeah. At 3:01, you write, "It's only when Jamie, this isn't fair, nonsense and revisionist history comes up that I'm like, come on, guys. What did you mean by Jamie, this isn't fair, nonsense and revisionist history?" I would assume it's the we didn't do anything wrong as opposed to remembering what happened. It was Mr. Heath and Mr. Baldoni's attitude that they didn't do anything wrong that you were referring to as revisionist history? I believe so. At 3:01, you write, "Him and Jamie have a way of making women feel like shit. Do you see that? And some men, yes. Was it your experience that Mr. Baldoni and Mr. Heath had a way of making women on set feel like shit?" A couple that came to me that we've talked about, and myself, yes. And you felt like it was deep because Mr. Baldoni and Mr. Heath wrote the checks? Yes. And it was deep for you because Mr. Baldoni and Mr. Heath wrote the checks, right? Yes. And they made you feel like shit? Yes. If you go down to the message at 3:03, please, you write, I remember you calling me around 2 one night being like, "What the fuck?" because so much of it was these minuscule microaggressions. Do you see that? Yes. Was it your experience that Mr. Heath and Mr. Baldoni continued to engage in microaggressions during the second stage of filming? From what I remember, it was much better on the second round, but I will be honest, I don't remember with great specificity. I can't talk. At 3:05, you write, "Do you remember when I called Andy Davis a few weeks in and was like, Andy, he's inviting the department heads to go to the Russian baths with him. Do you see that?" Yes. Was it, was that in what was that in reference to? At the beginning of prep, Justin was going to a Russian bath in New Jersey for relaxation and was very excited about it. Came into one of our scouts van and said that he wanted to bring everyone with him at some point. Do you think it was appropriate for Mr. Baldoni to invite cast and crew to Russian baths with him? I didn't, but that's why I called Andy Davis to confirm. You did not think it was appropriate? I didn't, but I wanted to call him to confirm, and then I spoke to Jamie about it. And did Mr. Davis confirm that Mr. Baldoni inviting cast and crew to Russian baths with him was in fact not appropriate behavior in the workplace? Correct. What did Jamie say when you raised to him that Mr. Baldoni had invited cast and crew to the Russian baths with him? That I don't remember if he said it was appropriate or inappropriate, but he said that he would talk to Justin, and I believe he did. At 3:06, Miss Giannetti wrote, "Everybody has something weird, uncomfortable, and bad to say. Do you see that? So your experience is that everybody had something weird, uncomfortable, and bad to say with respect to Mr. Baldoni and Mr. Heath on set? I didn't talk to everyone about it, but the people that I did, yes. Fair to say, most people, yes. Around the time of Book Bonanza, did you come to understand that certain cast and crew didn't want to appear in press and promotion with Mr. Baldoni? Yes. Who? I don't remember exactly, but I want to say everyone except Hassan. Would that have been Miss Lively, Miss Slate, Miss Farrer, Mr. Sklenar, and Miss Hoover who did not, and Miss Hall who did not want to appear in press or promotion with Mr. Baldoni? Correct. Do you have an understanding as to why those individuals did not want to appear in press or promotion with Mr. Baldoni? I believe because of everything that had transpired or what they had heard transpired. You believe that Miss Lively didn't want to appear in press or promotion with Mr. Baldoni because of what she perceived to be inappropriate and uncomfortable behavior by Mr. Baldoni and Mr. Heath on set? That was my assumption. Same for Miss Slate? Yes. And then we go to something about Christy Hall won't do press with Justin, right? Correct. At 7:35, you write to the group. They all hate him. Who was that in reference to? What was the timestamp on that? 7:35. Oh, I assume Blake, Brandon, and Isabella. During Book Bonanza, was the cut of the film screened? Yes. And did the audience have a huge reaction? Yeah. Standing ovations? Yes, from what I remember. If you turn, please, to your message at 11:18, it would be on the next page. Yep, you're right. Strongest cut thus far. Do you see that? Uh-huh. Was it your opinion that the cut screened at Book Bonanza was the strongest cut of the film you had seen so far? Yeah. And was that the cut created by Miss Lively? I actually don't remember. Do you have any reason to believe that it was the cut of the Do you have any reason to believe that it was the cut of the film that was created by Mr. Baldoni? I don't think so because of the date. Was Mr. Baldoni at Book Bonanza? No. Miss Lively was, though, right? Correct. If you can turn to Exhibit 11, 13, which is a document bearing Bates BL 8042, do you recognize this document as a text chain between you and Miss Lively on June 15th to June 16th, 2024? Yes, yep. If you turn, please, to your text at 3:04, in the middle of the message you write, "The cut is excellent. Like I said, the best thus far. Truly beautiful. Beautiful work, Blake. I think this is the last leg of the journey. I think this last leg of the journey is going to be really sweet for everyone, and that's because of you. Colleen might be the mother, but you're the fucking fairy godmother for everyone." Bullshit. "I'm always at your disposal for whatever you need, creatively or otherwise. I'm incredibly proud of this film." Does that text refresh your recollection with respect to whether the cut screen at Book Bonanza was the cut that Miss Lively created? Yes. Do you recall that in connection with releasing the film, Wayfair had compiled or developed a companion book? Yes. Okay, I'm giving you what is marked Exhibit 14. Exhibit 14 is a document stamped Wayfair, da da da. The front page is email, and we don't even get there because we jumped to 171. Or the writer, I don't remember. Fair enough. Mr. Heath writes, "I'm sending you Alex's notes. Well, there are some that are worth discussing, I want you to know that she is not always the best with bedside manner. So please read her note with that in mind. She is not a decision maker when it comes to this. Do you see that? Uh huh. Does it surprise you that Mr. Heath would send your notes to the editor or writer of the coffee table book and represent that you are not a decision maker? No. Why? Because I wasn't one. Is that consistent with your experience that Mr. Heath and Mr. Baldoni sidelined you as a producer in connection with the film? Completely. You can set that aside. And then we jump to page 173. You can set that aside. Exhibit 16 is a document bearing Bates AS 701. This appears to be an email from you to Top Black, Justin Baldoni, and Jamie Heath on November 22nd, 2023. Do you see that? Yes. Do you recognize this email? Yes. There's an attachment to this email titled Notes for IEW3 Director's Cut Screening, right? Yes. And the attachment, do you know whose notes those are? I don't. Do you recall if you wrote those notes? I don't. The notes are describing the director's cut, correct? Yes. Do you recall whether Mr. Baldoni in fact wrote these notes that are attached to the email? I really don't. In the first paragraph, the notes read, This is now a PG-13 film through and through. All swearing has been removed aside from one F word placed in a very important moment in a non-sexual way. Making this film PG-13 has proven without a doubt to be what's best for the film and the audience. Was was that your view with respect to the PG-13 rating of the film? I think I think at the time I was supportive of PG-13. I mean, that's almost always better for a mass audience for films. We originally were supposed to make an R-rated movie, and so that was a little controversial internally when it needed to change. But I believe I supported the PG-13. And did you say PG-13 is almost better for mass audience for films? Why is that? Because it can reach more people. More people can go see it. A younger audience can go see it. I'm handing you exhibit 17. And while that's passed around, I will ask you a question not yet about the exhibit. We'll wait for everyone else to have it. But do you recall a meeting in or around January 4th, 2024 at Miss Lively's home in which she expressed concerns with respect to Mr. Baldoni and Mr. Heath's behavior on set? Yes. Can you please turn to paragraph 20 in that complaint? You said 20? Yeah, paragraph 20, page 7. At paragraph 20, page 7, there is a screenshot of notes that have 30 points there. If you could take a minute and read through those, my question for you will be whether the 30 points identified on that page are consistent with what you recall Miss Lively speaking to you during the January 4th meeting. Ready? Yes. Are the 30 points identified in paragraph 20 of that complaint consistent with what you recall Miss Lively speaking to you during the January 4th meeting? I don't remember every point one by one. I remember most of them. Okay, you can set that aside. Was Miss Lively eventually awarded a PGA producer mark for her work on It Ends With Us? Yes. You submitted a letter in support of her obtaining the producer's mark, correct? Yes. Did you also speak with other cast and crew members about submitting letters on Miss Lively's behalf to obtain a PGA producer's mark? I spoke with other crew. Other crew. Okay, thank you. What exhibit are we on, Ashley? Hold on. And then we jump to page 178. Um, and exhibit 19 is marked AS 1088. Do you recognize this as a June 6, 2024 email and the attachment, a letter you received from Russell Barnes in support of Miss Lively's PGA producer mark? Yes. Exhibit 20, do you recognize Exhibit 20 as an email from Mr. Barry Peterson to you on June 22nd, 2024? I don't have that one. We have a 20, but it's what you just discussed in 1088. Do you have AS 1094? No, none of us do. Do you agree, based on your experience, that Miss Lively deserved the PGA producer's mark that she was awarded in connection with the film? Yes. No further questions. And then we jump to page 236. Was Mr. Heath someone commenting that, oh, Mr. Baldoni looked hot or looked sexy? Was she in costume? I believe so. Okay, so he wasn't commenting on her street appearance, correct? Correct. And how do you know whether the character at that moment was going to be in a scene that included sexual content? Her character was never in a scene with sexual content. Miss Slates? Correct. Okay, let's have the same question with Miss Lively. Are you aware that com- Miss Lively complained that Mr. Baldoni said she looked sexy? Yes. And she was in costume at that time? And there, no, we'll jump to 243. And there had been an incident before where he interrupted you on a Zoom call? Yes, it was. I think it was a phone call. Okay, and that did not please you very much, correct? Correct. And you tell Mr. Baldoni, right? No, I actually didn't. But he apologized to you, didn't he? He did. So he knew or felt that he had been impolite. Is that the right word? Yeah. And apologized to you? Correct. Do you think Mr. Baldoni cut you off during the call because you're a female? I don't know, but I was the only person on set that he consistently yelled at. Mm. Then we jump to 278. You understand that well. Do you recall when the film premiered? I do. When was that? In August of 2024. And with respect to Mr. Baldoni's presence at the premiere, had Miss Lively made any demands? What I had been told was that they shouldn't be on the carpet together, and that they would be in a separate theater and would have a separate party. Were you aware of efforts by Miss Lively to have the cast and crew defriend Mr. Baldoni on social media at about this time? I was not until the press started reporting about it. And do you know, as you sit here today, whether or not that's accurate? I don't. And you don't know whether or not Miss Lively froze Mr. Baldoni out of the marketing, is that correct? I had heard that she was really running it, but I didn't technically know if he was also talking to them on the side. I know marketing and publicity were kind of like sometimes just having two conversations about things. At around the time of the premiere, when you texted that she was virtually taking over the film, did you have any discussions with Mr. Baldoni on the subject? So that text was back in post when that was about 2 months before the premiere. I believe I did talk to Justin about it when that sort of final takeover was happening, and I think that was one of our last conversations. And what did Mr. Baldoni say to you? I think he was upset, but if I remember correctly, was kind of shockingly in good spirits and accepting of the whole thing. And then we jump to 284. Did she ever complain to you that the script did not accurately reflect the book in some or substance? No. What did you know about the entry on the list having to do with Mr. Baldoni contacting Miss Lively's trainer? I knew about that incident really right after it happened because Justin asked Jamie and I to come to his apartment and he walked us through exactly what happened. He was really shaken by it, upset, embarrassed, felt trapped. What exactly did Mr. Baldoni tell you about the incident with Miss Lively's trainer? Well, he said that he had asked the trainer what her weight was because he had a back injury and he was going to have to be lifting her in one of the intimate scenes. And I guess the trainer, I don't even know if the trainer responded, but the trainer took that question and went to Ryan and Blake and told them about it and what had happened. And what had happened that day was that Ryan and Blake confronted Justin about it. It sounded like they were very upset, asked him how he could possibly do that. Again, I don't remember all the details, but it sounded like it went on for a bit. And then Justin was very upset, so he called Jamie and I to come hear about it. Did Mr. Baldoni, if you know, ever apologize to Miss Lively? I believe he did, but I don't exactly recall. As a producer of a movie in which the lead actor had to lift the lead actress, did you find anything offensive about Mr. Baldoni trying to find out how much she weighed? I don't know that I find it offensive. I understand it on a practical level, but she was a woman who had just had a baby and was clearly uncomfortable with her body and her weight. So it was more of an insensitive, stupid question that maybe we could have gotten the answer another way. Okay, let's take a short break. I may be about finished. Whoo, Lord, that was a lot. I'm working on the other depositions. Hopefully, I won't have as bad a time as I did with this one. But thank you, and hope to see you in the next one.